Hello, Jeffrey.
Good evening, Rav. How are you?
How are you? Baruch Hashem. How are you doing?
Baruch Hashem, all good, thank you. All good. Looking forward to Pesach, looking forward to Seder night, family. It's wonderful.
It is wonderful. It is the best.
Oh,
Ezrat Hashem,
nothing like it.
we're going to try to give some commentary that you will enjoy the Seder, to bring more commentary, to bring some ideas that you can share with the people that you're doing the Seder with. Be'ezrat Hashem, that's what we're going to try and do tonight, the last shiur before the festival. Be'ezrat Hashem.
Looking forward.
Okay, so it's 8 o'clock. Let's give few more people just to join. Give them a chance to join, and then I see that Frank joining us, Frank with us, Hilton with us, Ivor with us, Stephen with us. Who else with us? Brian and Glenda with us. Good.
Wow, nice.
Good. Let's just give another few more seconds for people to join us. And you know what? Maybe we should use now the idea regarding some question. If you have some question regarding the Pesach, if there is any question. I also suggest to some of you to take a pen and paper to write all the Hidushim, because tonight I'm going to give a very deep Hidushim, and if you want to write it, I really suggest that you should write it, and it's going to be easier for you if you want to write it down. Okay. Hello, Mark. Hello, Hilton. So nice to see you. It's so nice to see you. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, let's give them another few seconds, and then we'll start. Be'ezrat Hashem. We'll start the show. Okay. How many minutes? Okay, we are 2 minutes over. I think I'm going to mute everyone. Jeffrey, just remember we're using this Hagadah again. Remember this Hagadah?
Yes.
Okay.
I
can give you the pages so you can follow
I haven't
me.
got it. Sorry, Rob, I haven't got it with me. I've got another Hagadah.
It doesn't make a difference.
Okay, I got it.
I don't think that will be very, very problematic. I don't think that's going to be so problematic. Okay, so we're going to start the show. Be'ezrat Hashem, na'aseh v'natzliach, ve'Hashem alenu berahamav yarviach. I would like to dedicate the shiur, first of all, in the soul of Esther Kaden Bat Kitzia, Arav Avraham Chaim ben Eliezer Yaakov, Mordechai ben Rahma, Tamar bat Zehava, Yaakov Salomon ben Farha, Dvorah Ruth bat Beila, Shosha Blima bat Mordechai, Miriam bat Moshe, Malka Regina bat Joya, Ketigu Joya bat Farha. That please God, the word of Torah that we're going to speak tonight, it's going to be to uplift the soul of those deceased. Also, I would like to dedicate the shiur in health of Menashe Naji ben Farha, Liora bat Miriam, Harav Moshe ben Bahia, Batya Harav Moshe ben Devorah, Harav Avraham ben Marina, Rav Shlomo Yehuda ben Dalia, Dvorah bat Esther, Orna Bluma bat Miriam, Sheina Keila bat Hannah, Mordechai David ben Leah, Chaim Nahum ben Tzvi Cohen, Baruch ben Sarah, Tzvi ben Hava, Shmuel Meir ben Shosha Blima, Miriam bat Zelda Liba, Moshe Avram ben Hena Riva, Hayat Zipora bat Rachel, Ayala Eden bat Rivka, Tova Liba bat Rachel, ויהודית bat Rika. וכל שאר חולי ופצועי עמו ישראל בכל מקום שהם. רבותיי, we're going to start doing the Hagadah, and right at the beginning of the Hagadah, where it says עבדים היינו לפרעה, there's a verse there that I don't know how many of you take notice of it. I'm going to read it in Hebrew. There's noise in the background. Let me just mute. Okay, now it's okay. Okay. And it says something very interesting. Look what it says. עבדים היינו לפרעה. That's the main verse, and then it says like this, ואפילו כולנו חכמים, כולנו נבונים, כולנו זקנים, כולנו יודעים את התורה, מצווה עלינו לספר ביציאת מצרים. וכל המרבה לספר ביציאת מצרים, הרי זה משובח. Jeffrey, I don't know if you can hear us. I can't hear you.
Sorry, Rob. I'm just looking. Is this when?
Look
when
at the verse that says "Avadim haynu leparo."
Yes. We used to be slaves. We used to be slaves to Pharaoh in Egypt, but Hashem, our God, reached out His strong arm and took us out from there. If God had not saved us from Egypt, all of us, even our children and grandchildren, we would still be slaves to Pharaoh. So, even if we are very smart and know the Torah, it is a mitzvah for us to tell about the miracles that happened when the Jews left Egypt. The more someone tells about it, the more he deserves to be praised.
Okay. If you look at that last few words, it say the way that it's put it like this, it say that even if we were all men of wisdom, understanding, experience, and knowledge of Torah, it will still be an obligation upon us to tell the story of the Exodus of Egypt. If you look at that verse, it sounds like the scholar person not obligated to say the Hagadah. Maybe they're not obligated, it sounds like. Like Chachamim kind of don't have to say the Hagadah. Come the Zera Shimshon and say, why the Chachamim would think for a second that they don't have to say the Hagadah? Why they don't have to tell the story of the Exodus? Why are they so special that they might gonna think that they don't have to tell the story of the Exodus? That's the question of the Zera Shimshon. Because from the Hagadah, if you read it, it sounds like if you're a scholar person, you might not gonna be obligated. Come the Hagadah and tell you, although that you scholar person, although that you experience, although that you have great knowledge, you're still obligated to tell the story of the Exodus. And the question of the Zera Shimshon, Rabbi Shimshon Chaim Nachmani, that he asked, as I mentioned before, Rabbi Shimshon Nachmani born in the city of Modena. Modena, it's in the north of Italy. He born around 317 years ago. And he asked, why did the scholar person would think that they don't have to say the Hagadah, they don't have to tell the story? So to understand that, I would like to start with a story that brought in a Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin. The Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin, in page 104, folio 2, tell a beautiful story, Rabotai. I'm sure that many of you know the story, but if you don't mind, listen to it, and then we'll develop the show. In a Gemara, it's mentioned about a person that was a kidnapper, that he used to kidnap people, and he used to sell them to become slave, and that's how he used to make money. He was a robber, he was a kidnapper, and he used to kidnap people, and he used to sell them as slave, and that's how he used to make his money. And the Gemara tells us about two Jewish people that was walking in a Galilee, and that kidnapper got hold of them, and he tied them up, came with a knife, obviously, and said to them, if you're not going to obey what I'm telling you, I'm going to kill you. He tied them up, and they start walking. He took them towards his house. While they was walking, the one Jewish person tell the other Jewish people, they were having a conversation. He said, look, something very strange happening here while we're walking. If you look, only one side of the grass been eaten. He said, you know why? It's a camel. That camel is blind in one eye. They continue to talk. The other guy said, look, that camel that's blind in one eye, he carried two big jars. In one jar he have oil, in one jar he have a different liquid, and I think that it's water. In the meantime, the kidnapper hearing the conversation between the two. Then come the first one that said that the camel is blind and said to the other Jewish people, to the other Jewish person, he said to him, listen, you know, the two rider of the camel, they're two different people. They're not from the same nation. The one is a Jewish guy and the one is a Gentile. The kidnapper that heard the conversation couldn't hold it anymore. And he told the guy to stop. And he said, tell me, are you playing in my mind? What are you doing here? Are you playing mind game or what? I said to him, not at all. You heard the conversation? He said, yes, I heard. You told me that you say that in one side there is a camel, he's blind in one eye. The other thing is that they're carrying two jars, and one is oil and one is a different liquid. Then you say that the riders of the camel, they're two different people. One is a Jewish person and one is a Gentile. He said, yes, that's what we spoke. He said, if you don't believe us, run forward and you'll see. He said, I'm telling you now, I'm going to tie you to the tree. When I'll come back, if you're lying, I'll chop both of your heads. And he said, go, do whatever you want. That kidnapper tied the two Jewish people to the tree. Then he started moving on and he ran. After 15 minutes, 20 minutes, he caught up with the camels that was walking in the front of them. And he looked carefully and he saw that the camel blind in one eye. Then he looked at the liquid and he saw that one was oil and one was a different liquid. It was water. He looked at the riders and he saw that one is a Jewish and one wasn't a Jewish person. And he realized that these two people that he kidnapped, as a matter of fact, they didn't play mind game. He gone back and he said to them, listen, you two have to tell me the truth. How did you know that the camel was a blind? Number two, how did you know that they're carrying two different liquids? And number three, how did you know that the riders, one is a Jewish, one is not a Jewish? The Gemara continued saying that the two Jewish people explained to him, listen, when we walk, we saw that only on one side, the grass is flat. The other side is a bit higher. We realized that the camel blind on one eye because he's eating only on the right-hand side or the left-hand side. Doesn't make a difference. That's make us understand that the camel is blind on one eye. Regarding the liquid, we'll tell you. If you look, when you run on the way, you saw different marks. Why? Because the camel was tilting a bit to the side to eat from the grass and the oil got spilled only on one side. So we realized that he's carrying oil. How did you realize, he said to them, that there is two different riders? How did you realize that? He said, we tell you. A Jewish person, when he have to go to the toilet, he go to the side, to the corner. He sit on a corner and he do what he have to do. If it was a different person, okay, they do it wherever they feel like. They don't sit on a corner. That kidnapper said to them, you such a scholar people, I cannot kidnap you and sell you as slave. Listen to me, I release you now and you come into my house. The Gemara said that he released them, he took them to his house, he gave them kosher food. When I say kosher food, they said that they give them vegetable that was kosher. He told his mom to make them a meal. And then when he released them, he given them also present. That's the story in the Gemara. Until now, it's the Gemara. Come the Zera Shimshon and say, what the Hagadah tell us, ve'afilu kulanu hachamim, although that we all scholar person, kulanu nevonim, kulanu smart, kulanu zkenim, we have knowledge, we have understanding of the Torah, we still obligate to say the Torah. It's come to tell you something extraordinary. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu tell us, here's something extraordinary. He come to tell us in Hagadah that although that you might gonna think that you scholar people, you're the smart people. If you was in Egypt, you might gonna think that your wisdom gonna help you to be released from slavery, your smartness, your knowledgeness. No, that's not gonna help you. The only reason, the only reason that you've been released from Egypt is because I redeem you. It's not because of your knowledge, not because of your understanding, not because of your wisdom, because I, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, released you from slavery. Said the Zera Shimshon, the Hagadah come and tell us that even if we scholar a person and we would think that that wisdom can help us to release us from Egypt, the Hagadah tell us no. We're still obligated to tell the story of the Exodus of Egypt. We're still obligated to publicize the miracle that HaKadosh Baruch Hu done for us in Egypt. Why? Number one, to implant in us the emunah that if HaKadosh Baruch Hu wouldn't redeem us, we couldn't leave Egypt. We will still stay, Has v'shalom, slave in Egypt. Us and our fathers and our forefathers, we're all going to be slaves. Come to Zera Shimshon and tell you that although that we might going to think that we all understanding the Torah, we have knowledge, we men of wisdom, we people of smartness, that we all smart and we have the understanding, we're still obligated. Why? Number one, to publicize the miracle that HaKadosh Baruch Hu redeemed us from Egypt, to tell to our kids, to tell to our grandchildren, to tell to our spies, to tell ourselves, to implant on us the emunah that without HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we couldn't be redeemed from Egypt. And now we can understand why the Hagadah said, "Ve'afilu kulanu nevonim, kulanu hachamim." Although that we all men of wisdom, we all men of understanding, that wouldn't help us to be redeemed of Egypt if HaKadosh Baruch Hu wouldn't redeem us, said the Zera Shimshon. I would like to go now and speak about one of the plague. And the Torah tells us, Jeffrey, if you look forward, it says, "Ve'elu 10 hamakot she'hevi HaKadosh Baruch Hu al hamitzrim b'Mitzrayim." Those are the 10 plagues that HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought on the Egyptian in Egypt. And I would like to speak about the plague of blood. And we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought 10 plagues on HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and every plague, HaKadosh Baruch Hu show that he's the master of the universe, he's in control of the universe. And a matter of fact, there is midah keneged midah in every plague. But we have to understand why on a plague of blood, and that's the question that asked the Zera Shimshon, HaKadosh Baruch Hu on the first plague make the Jewish people rich. Why dafka on the first plague? Why it was so important to make the Jewish people rich on the first plague? We have to understand what's hiding behind it. So let's read it together, and it says like this: "Ve'ele 10 hamakot שהביא הקדוש ברוך הוא על המצרים במצרים, ואלו הם דם, צפרדע, קינים, ערוב, דבר, שחין, ברד, הרבה, חושך, מכת בכורות." Bechavod.
Sorry, Rob. I'm just trying to get it on my one here. I've got it here where it says the dam and
one page after that. One page after that. One page after that.
1 second. No, I've got Rabbi Yosei Glili says how
Just on top of that. Just on top of that. Just on top of that. You see
one
that it's the 10 plagues.
Yes.
And those are the 10 plagues. Those are the 10 plagues which the Holy One, blessed He, brought up on the Egyptian in Egypt. Can you see it?
Yeah, he came without stretched arm, with signs and wonders, and then it says there's another explanation. I don't know. And Hashem took us out of Egypt with a strong hand, and I'm just trying to. Sorry,
Look,
Rob.
okay, I'll read it. I can read it. Okay, those are the 10 signs that are the 10 plagues that Hakadosh Baruch Hu brought in Egyptian. Okay, and what they are: blood, frog, okay, lice, okay, wild beast. What is it after that? Was shchin. Wild beast. Sorry, dever is pestilized. After that, there is shchin, that's boiled. Barad is hell. Arbe is locust. After that is makat choshech. Choshech is darkness, and then makat bechorot, the plague of the firstborn. The plague of the firstborn. Did you find it, Jeffrey?
Yeah, I've got it all here. Obviously, I've got it here, and I've just got it. And where they made we made Pesach Hagadah.
Yeah, that's after that. That's after that. But
yes.
I want to speak about the plague of blood. Why did Hakadosh Baruch Hu made the Jewish people rich on the first plague that he brought on Egyptian? Hazal in a Midrash in Sefer Shmot, in Shmot Rabbah, Midrash Shmot Rabbah, tell us that on the first plague, the Jewish people become rich. What happened? When Hakadosh Baruch Hu turned the water to blood, the Egyptian couldn't drink, and they needed to drink water. What did Hakadosh Baruch Hu do? That when the Jewish people drank, they drank water, and the Egyptian drank blood. So by that they want to drink water, they have to pay the Jewish people. They pay the Jewish people, and that's how they become rich. Because if they would grab the glass from the Jewish person, they would drink blood. Hazal says something very interesting. What's happened in that case? They have to buy water from the Jewish people, and that's how the Jewish people become rich. And here comes the question. We don't understand. HaKadosh Baruch Hu in Sefer Bereshit told Avraham Avinu that in covenant of the part, only when the Jewish people will leave Egypt, okay, he promised them that they will be rich. Come the Zera Shimshon and say, that was the promise. When they leave, they're going to leave with great treasure. But now, I see already on the first plague, you make them rich. I know that when the Jewish people left Egypt, they become very rich. Okay, we know in the spoil of the sea, we know in Makat Choshech. So why Dafka on Makat Bechorot, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to make the Jewish people rich? So to understand that, Rabotai, we have to go to a Gemara in Masechet Baba Batra. The Gemara in Masechet Baba Batra, in page 116, folio 1, tell us something very interesting. Kasha aniyut בתוך ביתו של אדם כ-50 מכות, יותר מ-50 מכות. That means that poverty in the house of a person, it's worse than 50 plagues. Now, if you look forward, Jeffrey, what did Rabbi Akiva say when you see there, it say, first of all, it's bring Rabbi Yossi, and then it's being Rabbi Eliezer, and then Rabbi Akiva. Can you see Rabbi Akiva?
Yes, I do.
Read Rabbi Akiva. And now we can link all of it together to the plague of blood. Bechavod.
Rabbi Akiva says, how do we know that every plague that God brought on the Egyptians in Egypt had 5 different parts? Because the Torah describes the plagues by saying, God sent against the Egyptians, 1, his burning anger, 2, rage, 3, annoyance, 4, trouble, and 5, a troop of bad angels. Since each of the 10 plagues in Egypt had 5 parts, it was as if the 10 plagues were 50 plagues. And the 50 plagues at the sea were like 250 plagues. 50 by 50 parts.
Okay. So we see here that Rabbi Akiva said that the Egyptian received actually 50 plagues. The Gemara in Masechet Baba Batra tell us a poverty inside the house of a human being, Chas v'shalom, it's worse than 50 plagues. What's the connection? First of all, we see here that the 3 sages adding up many more plagues, because Rabbi Akiva said 50. Okay, if you look, Rabbi Yossi HaGlili, if you look, he said 10. Then Rabbi Eliezer said 40. Okay, we can see that everyone adding up. Why dafka? So Hazal said that the main reason that they're adding up those plagues, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu later on tell Bnei Israel, V'kol ha'mahala asher samti b'Mitzrayim lo asim becha. That means all the plague that are brought in Egyptian, I will never bring it on you. The sages here wanted to make as much more many plague that there is less chance that the Jewish people will get any one of those plagues. That means to avoid less sickness on a Jewish people, on the pshat of the dvarim. Now let's see how is it connect makam dam to the 50 plagues. So say the Zerah Shimshon something extraordinary. The Zerah Shimshon say that you know why HaKadosh Baruch Hu make the Jewish people immediately rich? Although that they were still in slavery and makat dam, the Jewish people stopped being in slavery only on makat kinim, on lice. That's when the slavery stopped. But they didn't been released from Egypt. Said the Zerah Shimshon, here we know that all the 10 plagues that HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought in the Egyptian was measure for measure. For the hard labor ship, for all the stuff that they harmed the Jewish people. For example, the Makat Dam, it's from the Nile, because they used to drown the Jewish people in the Nile. HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought on him Dafka Makat Dam. Okay? What happened? Said the Zerah Shimshon that here the Jewish people might gonna see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu punishing the Egyptian. But then they still in slavery, number one. They're still poor. So what's the difference? Say HaKadosh Baruch Hu, before I'm going to make you rich, that you're going to feel, number one, that you're not so bad, that life it's not so bad. So first of all, I'll make you rich. Second of all, I'll let you see how the Egyptians suffering. Okay? Although that you're still in slavery. I saw that the Zohar HaKadosh bring a different opinion. The Zohar HaKadosh on Sefer Shmot, on page 30, that means 33, page 1, says something extraordinary. He said, we know that Pharaoh have 3 advisors, okay? He have Bil'am, he have Yitro, and he have Job. Bil'am say to Pharaoh, kill the Jewish people, get rid of them, annihilate them. Job said to him, listen, No. Take their money, make them poor, and then turn them to slave. Then they're going to turn slave too. Yitro kept quiet and he left. He ran away because he didn't want to be part of it. Said the Zohar, here there is measure for measure. You know why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu, on the first thing, on the first plague that he brought on and make the Jewish people rich? Because what did they wanted to do? They, by that they took the money from the Jewish people, they make them poor. After they make them poor, they also make them slave. Come HaKadosh Baruch Hu say measure for measure. You made my nation first poor, and then you took them to slave to work for you. I'll do the same to you. First thing, I'm going to make my children rich. From what? On the first plague, that it's blood. Okay? After that, I'm going to let them see, okay, how much I punish you, the same like you punish the Jewish people by hard slavery. Said the Zerah Shimshon here was measure for measure. And now you can understand what was hiding behind that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, on the first plague, make the Jewish people rich. Why? Number one, that the Jewish people wouldn't feel like they not in any better stage, although that the plague came. So what HaKadosh Baruch Hu done? First of all, make them rich, to let them feel comfortable, okay? To let them feel, okay, that they're not so bad. Number two, say that it was measure for measure for the advice of Job, that he suggests first take the money, and then when they become poor, turn them to slave. So it was first thing, HaKadosh Baruch Hu made now the Jewish people, although that they were still in slavery, make them rich. And then he showed them how much the Egyptians suffer from each plague that he given on them. And now we can understand, said the Zerah Shimshon, why it was so important that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when he brought the plague of blood on the Egyptian, he made sure that the Jewish people will be rich on the first plague. Now we can understand. I would like to move on now. Further on, it's a matzah. Now we're talking about the three things that we're eating in Pesach. It's a matzah umaror. Jeffrey, look at the matzah. Look at the place that it's a matzah. Matzah zo she'anu ochlim al shum ma. Okay? Why do we eat the unleavened bread? Look at that.
Right.
I'm going to read it and then we're going to explain.
Yes.
מצה זו שאנו אוכלים על שום מה? על שום שלא הספיק בצקם של אבותינו להחמיץ, עד שנגלה עליהם מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא גאלם, שנאמר, ויעפו את הבצק, אשר הוציאו ממצרים עוגות מצות, כי לא חמץ, כי גורשו ממצרים ולא יכלו להתמהמה, וגם צידה לא עשו להם. בכבוד.
Matzah. Why do we eat matzah? Because God, the King of Kings, showed us his glory and saved our ancestors by taking them from Egypt so quickly that there was no time for their dough to rise. As the Torah says, they baked the dough they took from Egypt into matzahs, for it had not risen. They could not wait for the dough to rise because they were chased out of Egypt, and they had not prepared other food for the way.
Okay. So there is a shaila that asked the Zerah Shimshon, and he said, one of the most important mitzvah that we have on Pesach is to be so careful of hametz in Pesach. So how come that the Torah tells us to make the matzah from the 5 grain? Why not to make a matzah, for example, from potato flour? Why not to make the matzah from corn flour? I don't know, all different flours that there is today. Why dafka it have to be but from flour that the dough can raise, can be leavened? Why is it so important? So let's explain first the word matzah, then we explain the word hametz. The word matzah, say the mefarshim, if you take the word matzah, it's milshon mitzvah. Hametz, it's milshon ahmatzah, and we'll explain. Matzah, it's a mitzvah. The source to it is a mitzvah. Hametz, it's ahmatzah. What it means, ahmatzah? Ahmatzah can be translated as raise, that the dough can rise, okay, to be leavened. Also, miss. Ahmatzah, it's missing. What's the connection? Say the Zera Shimshon, something extraordinary, and look how we explain what we're eating in Pesach. And when we're sitting on a seder, we have to understand what's hiding behind what we say. Matzah zo al shuma, okay? Mishum shelo speak batzekam shel Israel leachmitz. To miss what? Said the Zera Shimshon, now that we've done the explanation, what is a matzah, what is a hametz, that matzah, number one, it's like a mitzvah. The source of the root of the word matzah is mitzvah. The hametz, it's milshon ahmatzah, to miss. Okay, nachon, that it's speaking about the leavened bread that can leaven. Okay, come the Zera Shimshon and say like this. He said, listen, the main reason that HaKadosh Baruch Hu told us once a year not to eat bread that it's leavened, because the Kabbalistic rabbi explained that the word hametz, it's come to represent the evil inclination. And the evil inclination causes us to miss many opportunities in life. This world full of opportunity, full of challenges, as you all know. Said the Zera Shimshon that the main reason that HaKadosh Baruch Hu tell us for 7 days, refrain from eating leavened bread, is to teach us, when we're sitting on a Seder night, to understand that we have 7 days, okay, and the highest price 8 days, to try to conquer the evil inclination that we have in us. What does it mean? The evil inclination all the time entices us to do averot, but he entices us in a way that he doesn't come in the front directly. He come always via the back door. You need to go to shul to daven mincha. He said to you, listen, you have enough time. Just sit another few minutes, relax, have something to drink. Okay, you're very thirsty, and then go. You're very hungry, eat something small, and then go to shul. And before you realize, time is past, you're late to daven. He give you every opportunity. He waiting for you behind every corner to make sure that you will stumble. That's the job of the Yetzer Hara. That's what we have to understand, that in Pesach, HaKadosh Baruch Hu command us to eat unleavened bread. That means to look at life and to understand that life full of challenges, life full of opportunity. Do we take those opportunities? Do we take the opportunity and challenge them and we benefit from them? Or we take those challenges and sometimes we don't benefit from it. I don't want to say the other thing. Said the Zera Shimshon, HaKadosh Baruch Hu told you dafka on Pesach to eat from the 5 grain. Those 5 grain can leaven. That dough can leaven. But the leaven can only happen if you leave it. If you carry on kneading the flour with the water, that means the dough, you can knead it, if you can, for an hour, 2 hours. And that doesn't consider in leaven. The dough will never rise. Hazal tell us, from here you learn. You know why HaKadosh Baruch Hu command us to eat matzah b'Pesach? To make sure that you're all the time busy kneading. What it mean busy kneading? That means that you're all the time busy doing mitzvah. That means don't allow Okay, don't allow the evil inclination to penetrate. That means all the time be busy with yourself and thinking, what more mitzvah I can do? What more Sha'ul Torah I can learn? What other new commentary I can have? What new halacha I can learn? He say that it's never, as long that you're busy needing the dough, it will never rise. That means that in life we have opportunities. In life we have all different challenges. We have to learn to take those challenges, to take those opportunities, okay? And to turn them to mitzvot, milshon matzah. That means the main thing in life is to take every opportunity and to turn it to mitzvah. Said the Zera Shimshon. Now you can understand why Kadosh Baruch Hu told us on Pesach to eat the unleavened bread that made from the 5 grain that can turn hametz, because he wanted to teach us that in life you have many opportunities. Life is full of challenges. How do you deal with them? Are you keeping yourself all the time busy with mitzvot, Torah and mitzvot and gemilut hasadim? That means studying Torah, learning the mitzvot, keeping the mitzvot, doing kindness one with each other, or you like the leavened bread, the leavened dough that rise, that allowed us to miss opportunity. That means le'ahmitz, to miss. Come the Hagadah, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu tell us in Hagadah, I want you to take bread, I want you to make a bread from the 5 grain. And that bread must not be leavened. Why? To teach you to keep yourself busy, not to miss any opportunity in your life to turn it to good, to turn it to mitzvot, to do kindness one with each other. And Hazal explained to us that from here, when I say Hazal, it's the Zera Shimshon. That's the main reason that we're eating matzah bePesach. Those 7 days is to let us focus and to let us understand that that's the key for all year around. Why? Why Dafkan Pesach? Because Pesach, Chodesh Nisan, Rishon hu lechodshei hashana. It's the first year in the Jewish calendar. So when you're starting the year, the first thing that I want you to do while you're eating, to understand that you must not miss any opportunity, any challenge that comes. With that challenge, try to make the best of it. Try to benefit and turn those challenges and those opportunities to mitzvot, ma'asim tovim, and learning Torah. That's why we eat matzah in Pesach, because matzah, it's milshon mitzvah. And hametz, it's milshon le'ahmitz. Le'ahmitz is to miss. Here come the Kadosh Baruch Hu and tell us, that's the beginning of the year. I want you to understand that you're going to have 12 months of challenges, 12 months of opportunity. It depends on you, what you're doing with those opportunities, what you're doing with those challenges. And Be'ezrat Hashem, that when we sit this year around the Seder, and we'll share with our families those beautiful ideas that we brought. I'm sure that you have many more. Remember one important thing, that the main reason that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to tell the story of the Exodus. Nachon, that every year we tell it. Many people said to me, what else can I say? Oh, there's so much. Just open books and see how much you can say. And every year I'm trying to bring different ideas that you can share on a table. That when we're sitting on a table and we're eating the matzah, the Zohar Kola, they call the matzah, Sehavad Nyunta. What does it mean? The bread of belief. When you eat a matzah on Pesach, that implant on you the believing in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. How important is to eat matzah in Pesach? Those people that suffer from problem with the stomach, they can't eat gluten. I just have few questions this afternoon regarding that. It's a different opportunity. You must ask the Rabbi what to do. I can't just answer a question like this because it's all different situation. You have to speak with the doctor. It's not so simple just to say, okay, no. You have to consult with the doctor. It's not so simple. I'm not a doctor. I'm more an halachically. After I hear the doctor, I can say yes or no. But the point is that when we eat the matzah, we have to understand that the matzah comes to implant on us, number one, from the Zohar HaKadosh, the emunah in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We many years in exile. Hazal tell us in the Gemara Masechet Rosh Hashanah, page 11, folio 2, Benisan nig'alu, Benisan atidim leigael. In a month of Nisan, the Jewish people will been redeemed from Egypt. In a month of Nisan, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, please God, will redeem the Jewish people. And please God, that we'll see the redemption speedily this Pesach. That all the people from every chorish that they have, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will send us Mashiach Tzidkenu and redeem every one of us from his own personal chorish and build Bet HaMikdash. And then we all gonna live in peace and harmony one with each other, with a lot of health, with a lot of prosperity, a lot of enjoyment. And then we'll say that the matzah that we need, that we eat it was the matzah that challenge us to do the good deeds, because by that we do good deeds, that's the merit that we can see Mashiach Tzidkenu speedily in our day. Amen. Ken Yeh Ratzon. Please God that we should merit all to see the Mashiach in our day. Amen. Ken Yeh Ratzon. Now I'd like to give time for question. Those of you that have question, please unmute the microphone.
Stephen, hi, Harav.
How are you, Stephen?
Baruch Hashem and yourself, Rav.
Yom. Sorry, I needed to drink. My throat become dry. Yes,
totally understood. Your Eov, you say that he gave this this advice to Pharaoh, but they say Eov was a totally righteous man, and God and the Sitra Achra came and put this idea to challenge him. So it's if you're such a righteous man, how could he have given such advice to Pharaoh?
So let me Stephen, let me explain your question, and then Be'ezrat Hashem I'll answer. Okay, what Stephen said, the Torah tells us, if you look, when Moshe Rabbeinu sent the spy to look at Eretz Israel, what did he say to them? Hayesh ba'etz. There is a tree in the land of Eretz Israel. Did you see ever a land without tree? Hazal explained, go and look on which merit, on which tree, that means the merit that the Canaanites actually relying on. Who's that person that given him such a righteous, who's that righteous man that they're cleaning on, that he keeping the land? Hazal say, if you look at Rashi, you're referring to Eov. Okay? The book of Eov been written by Moshe Rabbeinu, Rabotai, if you want to know, just for general knowledge. So Stephen asked, I don't understand. The Torah tells us he was a righteous man. Now you're telling us that he given the advice to make the Jewish people poor and to put them to slavery. How can it be? Wait, so is he righteous man or is not righteous man?
Perfectly.
Nachon, that's your question, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so say the Mefarshim like this. Listen, Stephen. The Mefarshim say, what was the first advice that Pharaoh get from Bil'am HaRasha? What did Bil'am say? Kill them, destroy them, annihilate them. Eov knew that if he gonna say anything, the Pharaoh not gonna listen to it. If he said to him, don't kill them, don't annihilate them, no, it's not gonna help. What's gonna help? by that I'm going to take the high thing, killing, and I'm going to turn it to what? To poverty. So he said to him, a poor person consider as a dead person. Chazal tell us, 4 נחשבים כמתים, נכון? אחד מהם, it's a person that in poverty.
Poverty, that's right.
That's what he done. So Eov wanted to save the Jewish people, but he knew if you're going to say to Pharaoh, listen, don't kill them, it's not going to work. What did he say? Take the money, be rich. Let's make the country rich. You're going to be rich. But they're going to be in poverty, and that's considered as dead people. You follow? It's the same, like happened with who? With Yosef HaTzadik. Yehuda said, let's kill him.
Yeah.
What did Reuben say? No, let's sell him. Shimon said, let's kill him. Yehuda said, no. Let's don't be murderers. Let's sell him as a slave. And that's how he saved his life. You understand?
Got it.
So that was Eov. Eov knew that if you're going to say to Paro, listen, don't kill that nation, Pharaoh wouldn't listen. בסדר?
בסדר.
Okay.
And that's also what Aaron became it for the Hagadah Egel, because he knew that it was because of the masses, the mass people. He knew that he couldn't persuade them not to build to have this Hagadah Egel. So
what happened in Hu when it was Hagadah Egel? Hu, the son of Miriam,
he got killed. Yes, he got killed.
And he said, "What's wrong with you? Are you normal? Are you going to commit idol worshipping? You can't do that." What is the nation done? Killed him. Aaron saw that. He said, whoa, if they're going to kill another person in Israel, then there's no takana. That's it, finished. So what is he done? He tried to delay them. But we know that
the whole story.
Understand how? And that's the same with you. I hope I answer your question. Beseder?
You have answered it. Thank you.
Rabotai, any other question? If there is any other question regarding the Hagadah, regarding what we learn, bechavod. No question? Okay. No question. Jeffrey?
You've answered a lot of my questions. I made a note of questions.
Okay.
You actually answered them as we went through. It is, yeah.
Usually Anthony loves to ask questions. Anthony, are you there? You want to ask question? Bechavod, Anthony? No, tonight no question. Okay. So I would like to... Oh, Bechavod, no, but... Anthony, I'm waiting for your question.
I can't think of one offhand. I'm just
okay, but that's also good. Not always we have to ask questions. It doesn't make a difference. Not always we have to ask questions. As long that you all understand the show, I hope that it's going to help you, please God, to have a nice Dvar Torah on the Seder table. I hope that you wrote all of them to explain what it's matzah and hametz, why dafka blood. Okay, what is the Hamishim Makot? How's it fit with the blood? That's one of the most important things why we eat. And then why even the wisdom people, okay, amongst the Jewish people, obligated, okay, to tell the story of the Exodus. I would like to take the opportunity and to wish all of you, number one, Hag Kasher V'Sameach, and Be'ezrat Hashem, that this Hag will see Mashiach Tzidkenu, and he gonna redeem us and build the Beit HaMikdash speedily in our day. Amen. Ken Yeh Ratzon. I would like to wish each one of you individually Hag Kasher V'Sameach to all of you.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Good night.
Chag Kasher Pesach to you, sir.